As far back as April, we've told you about patients treated for COVID-19 with plasma drawn from people who already beat the virus. Well, yesterday, President Trump announced the FDA will be expanding that clinical trial and approving it for use as a potential treatment. President Trump calls it a breakthrough, but is it? On Your Side's Jocelyn Howard has a closer look.
Mayo Clinic researchers have been working for months to figure out if convalescent plasma is a safe and effective way to treat COVID-19.
It's very historic.
Today, the answer is we think so, and so we're going to expand the study. In a matter of 4 months, the clinical trial enrolled more than 100,000 patients using convalescent plasma from about 70,000 donors.
This is one of the largest studies of its kind.
Dr. Delisa Fairweather says 35,000 of those patients are displaying very convincing responses to the treatment.
If you give plasma earlier, within 3 days of diagnosis, it reduces mortality at day 7 and day 30. And also, if you give plasma that has higher antibody levels in it, you also reduce mortality.
Fairweather says unlike many control trials, this was a nationwide effort.
All states and U.S. territories, both in rural sort of areas as well as large cities, were able to receive plasma.
But there is some pumping of the brakes. Several top health officials, including White House coronavirus advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci and Dr. Francis Collins, have raised concerns that the data was too weak. Clinical trials have not proven whether plasma can help patients battle the coronavirus. One thing to remember, an emergency authorization like the one announced yesterday doesn't require the same amount of evidence for FDA approval. Jocelyn Howard, First Coast News, on your side.